بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وآله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, well, since nobody wanted to say anything after that.
Yeah, part 2 of what happened last week. Second podcast back.
Wait,
Yep.
what? What are you talking about?
Second podcast back.
Okay, they get the idea. They saw the first one, now this is the second one. We're back on track, buddy. Anyway,
We're back on track, guys.
this is a topic I wanted to get back into last week, actually. Is the idea of dua and qadr, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how dua ties to your qadr, to the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some people don't understand what qadr actually means. And there's so many things that you can get into when you think about qadr, and so many philosophies I take for myself when it comes to myself, like making dua, trusting in the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, understanding his decree, what is best for me, and stuff like that. So first thing I wanted to get into is, why do we make dua? Why, like a specific dua? Let's not say one that's in the Quran or one that you find in hadith, right? One that's specific to you, to your life, to your family, making dua for the entire Muslim ummah. Why do you make that dua?
Look, I'm gonna put it like this. One, we are the ummah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have been blessed with the ability to make dua. Think about it. In the Quran, Musa alayhi salam, his people, they came to Musa and they asked him to make dua for them. Isa, like, remember the disciples, They came to ask him to send down the table spread.
Mhm.
These people, they went to, we've been blessed with the ability, we can make dua anywhere, anytime, anyhow, like, not any place, but like anyhow, like we can make it, and it's a form of worship. And Allah even says that those who are arrogant towards his worship after talking about dua, they're gonna be in jannah. So the way I look at it is, here's the way I look at dua. Any minor inconvenience that I see, even if I'm feeling like a little bit off, I'm gonna make dua to Allah. Because at this point I can just ask God. Why not? Why not?
And it's also very comforting, the fact that you can sit there, like you said, from anytime, mostly anywhere, sit there and you can talk to Rabb al-Alameen. You can sit there, you can talk to the Lord of the worlds, and you know for a fact that he hears you. Hussien, like he's the all-seeing, all-hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very comforting just in that fact, because like I remember when Yusuf, he brought up in an older podcast the fact that sometimes people they don't have somebody to talk to. But we as Muslims, we always have Allah to turn to. We always have the ability to sit there and make dua whenever we're going through something. We know that someone is there, overseeing us. They know exactly what we're going through. And matter of fact, like sometimes you're sitting there, you're making dua, you can't even put things into words, but Allah knows what's in your heart. He knows your situation.
Look, and I'll even share a story, because when we get to talking about dua, I know a lot of people, they think that their duas go unanswered or that they're not being heard. That's not the case. There's different ways dua can be answered. A calamity can be averted from you. And even I have a story on this. And I have full faith that this is exactly what happened. I used to make dua a lot,
You used to make dua?
No, well, more than I do now. Look, dude, I used to make dua a lot. Oh Allah, grant me a Lamborghini or something, things like that, right? I told you, any minor, if I see a lemon on the road, I say, mashallah, tabarakallah, Allah bless me with one too, right? I told you, any minor inconvenience, anything, I see it, I can ask God for it. So why not, right? Yeah. And I fully believe this, right? Dude, I remember I was making dua for this one thing, and I went one day for Fajr. I went for Fajr, I was at the light to turn into the masjid, and I see the blue lights behind me. I get pulled over by a cop. I pull into the masjid and I stopped. I'm like, dang, man, like this ticket, this is really gonna hurt me. Like, oh, bro, I was freaked. Dude, I was in the car, bro. I was like, man, I'm going to Fajr, man. Like, what's going on here? And then the cop comes. He says, "What, you late for church or something?" I'm like, nah, bro. Like, I'm late to the mosque. I give him my license. He comes back. Like, he doesn't even like look. Like, he comes like back in like 3 seconds. I'm like, oh snap, maybe something's wrong, right? He says, "You have the same birthday as me, so I'm gonna let you go." Calamity averted, bro. No ticket, no nothing. And I walked in the mosque, and the brother said, "You got a ticket?" I was like, "Nah, man, come on, bro." And that's the way I see things. Like, that was a dua I answered in my book. I mean, I've not asked Allah that morning to, oh, I'm gonna get a ticket, let me not get one. Like that. That's not what I asked for. But calamity averted.
Man, now I got a story too. I gotta give about dua. Look, it's a very similar type of situation. This is back back in the days when I used to work a job that used to, I used to come home very late. I'm talking about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I remember, I got off work. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I'm driving back home, and usually I'm a person, I like to speed. I'll put that out there. But this night I wasn't speeding. I was driving the speed limit. I was driving like normal, and I see this cop just sitting there, and I'm like, oh, he's not gonna pull me over. I'm not even speeding. I see him, he pull out from where he was, and I was like, okay, why is he following me? He's following me. He follows me for like a mile or so. And I go to turn left, headed towards where I live. And then he turns on the lights, and I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, what did I even do? I said, I wasn't speeding. I used my turn signal. I noticed that he was behind me. So I pull over, and he comes up to the window, and he says, mind rolling up your window halfway? And I'm like, oh my God, this dude, he got me for my tints. So he measures my window, and of course the tint is illegal. So he goes back to his car, and he has his partner with him. A second cop pulls up, and you already know whenever a second cop pulls up, it's usually not going to end well. So while they're in there, they're talking. His partner points out the fact that I have a radar detector, but obviously where we live, it's not illegal. So I thought that, but at the time I didn't really know, whether or not it was. So I was like, I might get a ticket for that as well. Obviously now I know. Anyways, they go back, they're talking. I'm sitting there, I'm just making dua. I'm like, ya Allah, so I remember using those same exact words. Like you're the all seeing, all hearing. I was asking Allah for help. He comes back to me. He said, hey, look, listen, man, my printer is broken. I'm just gonna let you. I'm just gonna let you go. Man, gives me back my license, sent me back on my way, and I was home and I was chilling,
bro. SubhanAllah. There's no better way to put it. People be thinking that the du'as be going unanswered, man. It could be years down the line, and then boom, it's there, and you don't even realize it.
You know what this reminds me of? So I saw this post, and this was what I was about to get into. But I can get into my own story after. So this post I saw, so beautiful. I hope I have it saved, but it was just like, it was like one of those slideshows you see on TikTok, just a whole bunch of pictures telling you about the beauty of dua. And people say, oh, my dua is going unanswered. I'm not getting the thing I'm asking for. And of course, your dua can be answered by giving you the thing that you asked for right away. It could be delayed for you, or you could see it on the day of judgment, or a calamity could be averted from you. But this gave you a different perspective on the way that your dua is accepted. If you are a mu'min, if you are a believer, and you say dua with sincerity, meaning you're not just saying it like you're an automated voicemail. You're not just speaking out of nonsense. You actually mean what you say. You plead with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is your answer. You going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with those feelings in your heart, that's your answer. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leave you hanging when you came to him pleading to him? He does not make you make a dua. He guides you to it. You don't make a dua on your own whim. You're going to get guided to it. If you need something, if there's something that you're asking for, even if you're just asking for a Lamborghini, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to guide you to that. That's a form of worship. You're asking Allah, affirming that I can't get this on my own. I need you, ya Allah.
I gotta piggyback off of that, because look, in that moment that I was making dua, because look, I remember, like Osman, I'm sitting there, I'm always making dua for things, but sometimes, like you said, it might be like an automated voicemail. Like, you're just sitting there, you're constantly asking for it, but the sincerity might not necessarily feel like it's there. But in that moment, I felt so sincere in my dua. I was like, Allah, you see me right now. You hear what's going on. You know it. I need you more than ever right now. And then all of a sudden, my dua is answered instantly. And it just...
Look, that's the difference between someone who makes a dua when he's just in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he goes back to his ways.
Right.
But you made that dua knowing that I'm still going to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after this. Like, Allah, this wasn't my intention. My intention wasn't to get pulled over. My intention wasn't to do X, Y, and Z. So I'm calling out to you, pleading with you right now. Do not let this happen for me in this way. And
look, let me put it into perspective for you. Just because some of your du'as get answered doesn't mean you should stop. Think about it. When we pray, we're asking Allah, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, give us the straight path. Why are we already asking when we're already praying? Aren't we on the straight path? No, you have to
minimum 17 times a day.
You have to keep reaffirming it. You have to keep asking Allah, asking Allah, asking Allah. And it's just like you build that reliance upon him.
You want to know why you keep asking Allah? Because is Shaytan gonna stop? You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim one time. You think that's gonna stop Shaytan from trying to lead you astray? You think that's gonna stop you from following your desires? No, you have to keep doing it over and over and over again. That's the beauty of this life. That's the beauty of worship, is that you constantly affirm your need upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your reliance upon Allah, that I'm not following this path. I'm not going to Jannah without you, without your guidance, without your help, without your mercy.
Look, you also have to understand your own inadequacies. You say this all the time, and insan yunsa, mankind is forgetful. You have to understand that each day just because you're good right now don't mean you're gonna be good tomorrow. So you gotta always be on top of it. You always got to keep a competitive edge. Even if you're not competing with someone, you're competing with yourself.
And speaking of the last point, you said that it might be delayed until the day of judgment. Remember what the Imam said in the khutbah last week? We're going to come on the day of judgment. We're going to see all our unanswered du'as, and we're going to wish Allah never answered any of our du'as. Isn't that crazy to think about?
Because the reward,
the reward is crazy, even though we can't see it right now. But that's just also something that, you should be very mindful of, because we never know when we're going to die. But all those unanswered du'as, they will definitely help you, whenever you need it the most.
And I actually want to get into like the way that we ask dua as well. Something that I try to practice is not being like an automated voice message. When I say du'as that are in a hadith or in the Quran, sometimes, yes, I can mean them, but then other times I might just be saying them because I know them. I know them by heart. It's not like I actually mean them. Like, for instance, like when I'm praying and I go in sujood, sometimes I'll say a dua like La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu min adh-dhalimin. But now sometimes I recognize I'm just saying that. Like, I don't actually mean it. When I feel it in my heart, like I am a wrongdoer, when I actually acknowledge, I'm a wrongdoer, like I committed some sins today, or whether I recognize I did that or not, I'm calling out to Allah, glorifying Him and allowing Him to see me as a wrongdoer, me acknowledging it for myself and showing to Him that I'm remorseful for that. If you're not feeling that remorse, if you're not feeling that sincerity, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like how He feel compelled to give you what you're asking for, to give you that forgiveness, or to give you the materialistic item you may be asking for? And also, when you ask for something that is part of this dunya, don't forget that you can take a portion of this dunya, but ask for stuff that can still lead you upon the straight path, that can even strengthen you in your deen, that can strengthen your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like if you're asking for wealth, and that wealth is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala planned for you because your risk is already planned. But if you're asking for it and Allah gives it to you, make sure that you're taking the precautions yourself to know that, okay, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives me this, I'm not going to be led astray. I'm not looking at this wealth.
It's just like Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam. Prophet Sulaiman, look when we talk about dua, I love talking about Sulaiman alayhi salam, because look at the nature of his dua. He asked Allah, and people, they'll say like, oh, you don't ask for material things. Like, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a kingdom that no one will inherit after him. He asked Allah for a kingdom, and Allah gave it to him. But this kingdom, it didn't lead Sulaiman alayhi salam astray, like you said, just to piggyback off like what you're saying. It didn't lead him astray. Like, it only increased him in like thankfulness to Allah. Like, that's just the blessing of both worlds, the best of both worlds.
No, that's one, like a lesson I love to follow, is that there are some prophets out there who led, the noble life. They led the life of, a poor man, or maybe not necessarily poor. They were rich in their soul, so they didn't need too much money. They didn't need too much material stuff. They had enough to suffice them. Sulaiman alayhi salam, he wanted more than that. And there's nothing wrong with that, because what he had didn't take him away from Allah. Having material possession does not necessarily mean you're going to be taken away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as you take the precaution yourself to know that I'm not seeking this for the pleasures of this world. I'm seeking it to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because what I'm going to do with the stuff that Allah gave me is supposed to please Him. It's not supposed to please anyone else. I'm not doing it for the sake of anyone else. If you guys like...
And Allah knows us best. Like, Allah knows that if you're sitting there, you're making dua for wealth for years and years and years on end, and He never gives it to you. He knows that, maybe that wealth would have taken you away from His remembrance, and then He doesn't want to see you in the hellfire. And obviously, seeing that wealth, in Jannah would obviously mean, billion times more than if you were ever given it here.
And that's my philosophy as well when it comes to like du'as that I make. I try to switch up the way that I ask for certain things, but I might still ask for the same thing.
I'll even put this out there. A lot of my du'as, they don't really like, of course, sometimes I'll just straight up, like, I'll ask for money, but a lot of my du'as, they consist of more of like just keeping me like strong on my iman, and like more like a like spirituality, like just allow me to remember you, like, because you got to think about it, at the end of the day, this is a privilege. The people that go to Fajr, this is a privilege. You have been allowed to go. There's something, I remember there's a time in my life, like it wasn't the best time of my life, and when I'll try to go to the mosque, something would always come up. Like, I couldn't make it to the mosque, and then it wasn't until like I started seeking a lot of forgiveness, until like I was able to start like coming back. And there was even like during that time, it was like in my heart, I didn't have that same desire as I did when I was like really, really on my deen. So I was like, that's why I always ask, even when we go Umrah and Mecca, majority of my dua is just to keep me on firm faith, because I know that if I'm on firm faith and I make a dua, it'll be good. But if I'm not on firm faith and I keep on sinning, like how do I expect duas to be accepted?
And remember even what he said in the khutbah last week that, sometimes our du'as are being blocked by things that we're doing ourselves. Some bad habits that we're doing, some sins that we're doing, things we might be, things that we shouldn't be doing are blocking our du'as. And that's also a scary reality to think about.
Yeah, and I just want to paint a scenario for you guys. Imagine you're a person. You wake up every day. You do the right things. You work extremely hard. You leave off sin. You don't do bad things. You don't backbite. You don't slander. You don't talk bad. You don't extend your gaze to what you're not supposed to be looking at. You're not jealous of other people. You always do what you're supposed to do. You remember Allah and to his due remembrance. When you make dua, you really think it's not going to be accepted? You really think that it's going to be rejected of you when you make dua? When you do all the right things, you just got to wake up every single day and do all the right things every single day. And it's easier said than done. 100% easier said than done. Like that, dude, that's the key to
And
success.
I want you to know something, actually. What Osman's saying here is so real, because if you're doing good acts, if you're someone who's a mu'min, you follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you follow the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, right? And you're asking dua and you don't think it's being answered, what are you doing? Because if you're doing your right things, right? Let's say you're fearful that you may have committed a sin, so you're making istighfar, even though you may have not committed a sin. That's not from Shaytan. Shaytan's not going to be like, oh, you committed a sin, go seek forgiveness. Yeah. No, he's going to say, don't seek forgiveness. That's not a sin. You're good. It's still halal for you.
You did enough good deeds for the day.
Yeah, like all of that, that's guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's going to lead you to make more istighfar. He's going to lead you to make more dua. He's going to lead you to have more khushu' in your heart.
Oh, and I love the concept that Allah would never guide me to go ahead and make a dua if he didn't want to give it to me. And then that's what sits there, and like I'll sit there, I'll make the same dua a million times, And
it's just like Hussein said, you really think it's Shaytan telling you, like whispering to you to make this dua? Shaytan will never tell you to call upon Allah. Like that doesn't make sense.
No. And especially asking for his help, knowing that dua is an act of worship.
Exactly.
Like when I tell you guys, okay, let's say I've made a dua for a certain, like, oh, let me start this business, make it halal for me, or let me get some wealth here, this or that, or let me be able to provide for my family, right? In my mind, I know the difference between the guidance from Allah because I'm making this dua, but then there's that other side. The side that I know is deception from Shaytan. Shaytan will be like, you can go easily get some money here. You can go easily make some money doing this. And it's all haram for me. And I know that because I've seen the people around who are, they're making easy money, right? But they're doing it in haram means. What they're doing is fruitful. What they're doing is meaning nothing.
Bro, wallahi, when their sports betting was a thing, every single day I would see like people around me that are sports betting. I would be like, dang.
Bro, speaking of betting, bro, dude, I'm the biggest attest to this right here. If betting was not haram, I promise you, I'd be $1 million off races, bro. I'd be a 6-figure earner. I promise you, because look, I have so much more money to invest in it. I make something, but like, look, it's not halal. So it's just something to stay away from. And it's like, all right, I might make a little bit less right now, but it's going to be a lot more rewarding in the end. The fact that, all right, I'm not going to sit here and seek through haram means I can sit there and go in sujood tonight and, ask Allah for rizq, for wealth that I know is going to be good for me at least. Because you don't want to be that person that's on the day of judgment or in his grave that gets bitten by snakes or, is causing war with Allah because, you went through interest and things like that. You want to go ahead and try to do the right thing so that you're under Allah's protection and he gives you more.
And imagine another thing that could block your du'as is a haram means of earning. And you got to think of
clothing, of eating.
Yeah. And there's regarding provision, I'm pretty sure there's a hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, just as the birds go out and come back with full belly, they go out with empty stomachs and they come back with full bellies. Your reliance upon Allah should be like that when it comes to provision. You go out, you work, you expect a full belly to come back. Like that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that, I asked Allah, I made this dua to Allah. I'm sitting in my house 6 hours a day, 12 hours a day. I'm not doing anything. And where's the money at? Where's this at? Like, I can't afford nothing.
Bro, when has there ever been a time in your life when you're struggling through something and then in the end things didn't turn out, in a good way?
All right, yeah.
Things didn't turn out all right. It might have not been exactly what you wanted, but things are a lot better. Or it puts you in a place where you're more grateful for how things were before or for the things that you already do have.
That's 100% true. And I also want to get into your focus, not just in dua, in any act of worship, but your focus upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in your prayer especially. If you're someone who, you pray and you understand, okay, you're reading Fatiha, you're reading another surah, you say your tahiyyat, you say you go into sujood, ruku, and you know what you're saying, but you're not actually mindful of it. Think about it if you're just having a conversation with someone and they're mindlessly like speaking to you. You're not listening to anything that they're saying.
Yeah, you're hitting them. You just scroll on your phone. You're saying, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep,
mhm.
that's crazy. Damn.
Yeah, it's like one of those.
When it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's going to hear everything you have to say. But if you're not mindful of him while you're doing the things that you're supposed to be doing in terms of your acts of worship, then what reason does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have to accept from you, have to actually guide you upon the straight path? If you're just saying ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, but you don't actually understand what that means.
Yep. I was about to just say the biggest thing that can change that all around 180 degrees is understanding everything that you're saying, because we're not all Arabic speakers, and even some of us that are, we might just be mindlessly saying what we're saying, but understand the fact of what you're saying. What does subhanallah mean? What does subhanallah rabbil ala, subhanallah rabbil adim, things like this. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim, malik yawm ad-din, like things like that. Find out what these things actually mean, what the background is of it, and then your worship for Allah will be 100 times better, especially when you know his names and his attributes and what to call him out by. This is only going to help you, and it increases your faith in Allah as well.
And I promise you, asking for this will be a whole lot different, because I would never expect myself to get to a certain point in my connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without asking for it. I asked Allah for knowledge. He gave me knowledge. He gave me the ability to go further than the 5 pillars of Islam and really understand what those 5 pillars mean, what it means to believe in them, and then what it means to submit to them. He also gave me the ability to understand my articles of faith, understand parts of the sunnah. And obviously, I'm not a scholar. I'm still a student, and I'm still learning every single day. But it's that journey that I'm yearning for the knowledge. And I asked Allah for that. I asked Allah, give me understanding of the deen. Give me understanding of the Quran. Allow me to understand your names and attributes. Allow me to follow the sunnah. Allow me to be a man of the sunnah. Allow me to be a husband of the sunnah. I ask for things like this because I'm like, I can't do it on my own. How am I going to be a good man and I'm not seeking out Allah? Allah's the only one who can make me good.
That reminds me of the story from today's khutbah, where it was talking about this older lady. Her father would always try to get her to pray. Ever since she was young, he'd yell at her, go pray. She didn't want to go pray. Even maybe sometimes getting physical with her. And then up until the point when she became older and she asked Allah, because whenever her father wasn't around, she wasn't praying. So it was just, kind of pointless.
True.
But the fact that, whenever she got older, was asking Allah to install the love for the prayer in her heart. That's exactly where you want to be. You want to ask Allah to, for you to fall in love with the deen, fall in love with the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because if you don't love it, then you're not gonna want to practice it. It's just simple as that. It's just gonna seem like a chore to you. It's gonna just seem like it's just another thing to do for the day, and you're not gonna get anywhere with it. You're not gonna be as sincere. It's just not gonna be good. But when you fall in love with something, you just want to keep on doing it, and it just always continuously becomes better.
Always feel about the prayer more than you feel about anything in your life. Like, if you have a job, you're going to do exactly what your boss tells you to do because you're getting paid for it. Okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you to pray, and he told you if you do this and you do your other good acts, the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded, you're going to achieve paradise, an eternal abode, a place that nothing bad can befall you. Everything that you've done, everything that you've sought from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come to fruition. And how could you not want that? That's way better than your job.
Hey, but what the crazy part is? If Allah wasn't going to reward us, if he wasn't going to give us paradise, he still is deserving of our worship, and we'd still have to follow it. We'd still have to follow exactly what he says.
Yeah, it's true.
Even if we weren't going to be promised anything, we're just put on this earth, we're going to die, and that's it. If Allah told us to worship him, that's exactly what we're going to do.
I don't know how anybody could doubt in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy when he promised you jannah just for following his word, just for saying Allahu Akbar, just for saying La ilaha illallah, just for praying.
And that's something that we should definitely be grateful for, because he doesn't have to do it. He doesn't have to do that with us. He could easily destroy us, or he could easily just, replace us or not resurrect us. And we just live, we die, and then whatever struggles we went through in this life was just meaningless.
Whenever I think about dua, I think about the duas in the Quran. Like in Surah Anbiya, I remember towards the end of the surah, there's a series of dua made by a whole like it's repeated from a whole different like a lot of different prophets, right? And Allah responds to each and every single one of them, fastajabna la, and we responded to them, and we responded to them, and we responded to them. Like, bro, and I also think about Ibrahim alayhi salam, like his duas, and you can literally see it today, literally see it today. Like the duas he made about Mecca, make this a safe city for believers. The city about his offspring, and from his offspring came a lot of prophets.
Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam
himself. And you can just see the dua is right in front of you.
coming to fruition.
Yeah.
I wanna just bring something up real quick. This may be a little off topic, but it's not necessarily off topic, but it's speaking about it's going into something that we spoke about last week, which is sinning in public. And sinning in public has been amplified with the use of social media in this day and age. And I'm going to get into something that is for both men and women. This advice right here is for men and women. Okay, for example, if a woman who doesn't cover her aura or a man who doesn't cover his aura and they're posting online, right? They get called out for this in their comment section. Let's say the people calling them out, not being very harsh. They're just telling them, hey, you should cover your aura, right? They're saying, I'm working on it. If you are working on it, you go work on that with you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, correct? How can you expect that you're going to get better on your deen? You're going to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you're still doing the thing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to protect you from. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us to stay away from certain sins. If we go ahead and put them online and we're saying we're working on it, we're on our own journey, we're this and we're that excuse flies out the window. Because why are you putting it online? For one, not only are public sins not forgiven, your du'as, your rizq, everything that you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be put on hold. It's going to be halted. You may have a seal on your heart. Wherever you're at in your deen, it may halt forever until you stop that thing, until you say, okay, I need to get better. So I'm going to remove myself from this situation and I'm going to go get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no sense in putting your stuff online, putting everything that you're going through online, because who are you going to now? Are you looking to Allah or are you looking to your internet?
You know, that's like a type of thinking that I've always had, even before, I was really on my deen, is the fact that if there's ever a time I'm working on myself, I have no need to put it online. I have no need to tell people about it. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, because what are these people going to do for me? They're not going to do anything for me. Most of these people, they want to see me lose anyway. So why would I even do that?
They may give you good advice, right? Like if you're caught with a sin online and on your video does well, and they call you out and they make dua for you, cool, that's good. You want people to make dua for you. But if they're not making dua, now you're getting ridiculed and you're going to be like, oh, I'm getting their good deeds. Necessarily, you may be getting some good deeds. I don't know. I'm not going to say yes or no, but you're also getting sins. You're getting sins for everybody who sees you. You're getting sins for posting this thing online, giving people the chance to look at you and even encouraging the act that you're doing. Is that not scary to think about? This is one of the scariest things to me, is that if you publicize a sin, how can you get away from it if you don't acknowledge it? If you don't say, I got to stop this, I'm going to stop posting for a while and I'm going to go get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I'll come back. I'll come back when I'm ready. I'll come back when I'm better. You're not here on this world to please anyone on social media or to put yourself out there so that everybody else can see you. Mm-hmm. Allah sees you already. Is that not enough for you?
And if it's too much for you, don't come back. Don't come back on social media. Definitely, if the bad outweighs the good, you should definitely stay away. Don't matter, what it is. It's crazy to think about.
It's a harsh reality for some people. And I'm not going to say I don't like speaking on things like this, but I think it has to be spoken about because I don't see enough people talking about, the dangers of being caught doing a sin on social media. And the biggest one I see personally is aura. When it comes to, it's for men and women. Like a guy who posts gym content, he's Muslim, he's uncovering his aura, he's showing off for people to see him. Some people say he may not be showing off. I'm not going to speak on their intentions for both men and women. I'm just going to tell you that you have to think about it in a different perspective. How can you expect to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you're doing the
same thing?
Yeah,
you keep doing the same things, you're not trying to change it. And there's evidence from this, in the Quran, Allah does not change the condition of a people unless they change it within themselves.
And that's real, because you say I'm working on it, but then you go ahead and post the same thing tomorrow. You go ahead and post the same thing, doing the same sin the next day and the next day and the next day, claiming that you're working on it. How are you, like you said last week, you're just lying to yourself. You don't have the strength to hold up your word, to actually say, oh, I am actually working on it. If you're working on it, you're going to try to get away from it. You're going to try to escape that thing.
And that's the thing. In those moments, that's when you really take a big leap of faith. In those moments, whenever you're about to change something big in your life, whenever you want to stop something, it's always a big leap. It's never, just something easy. Oh, I'm working on it. Like you'll one day come to the realization, and be like, you know what? I've had enough. I'm going to do such and such. I'm going to stop this and that. And then you actually do it.
And I want to put emphasis on this. For people who try to give advice and try to advise people, look, listen to me carefully. You just pointed out how hard it is for someone to try and change themselves. Now imagine someone else trying to change them. It's going to be infinitely times harder. So be careful with your words and try to do it. Just give the reminder and leave it at that. And be persistent if that's what it needs to be. But you got to understand how hard it is think about the times you try to change yourself or you try to stop a sin that was particularly hard for you, and now put yourself in that person's shoes and think about it like that.
I like how you just said infinitely times harder, because you'll never change somebody else. Never. You can sit there, you can influence them, but if they don't want it for themselves, they will never change, ever.
I also want you to know, if you're Muslim and you post videos online, and in your videos you are doing some sort of sin, and your videos do well, you're getting a lot of followers, take that as a sign that your life is going good while you're getting further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're sacrificing your connection to Allah for followers, for likes, for views, for whatever it is that you want. And that is one of the scariest things, is to see that your life is going well while you're far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
This is a very good perspective, because I remember back in the days whenever I used to post videos like on TikTok, I used to try to post these videos and they'd have music in the background. They'd never blow up. And I'd be like, bro, everyone's video is blowing up with the same exact sound, same exact type of videos. Why am I never doing well? And subhanAllah, I just had to come to a realization one day, like, wow, I could have been getting all those sins, but alhamdulillah, I didn't. Alhamdulillah, I didn't blow up. Alhamdulillah, I didn't get all those views, even though I wanted them like really bad. But now I just look at it, it's like, it is what it is.
Dude, there's even been videos that we've uploaded that have gotten a lot of views, millions of views, but then we look at it and we're like,
maybe this is not the best thing to post.
This is not we look at it, we didn't realize it at first, but then we're like, oh snap, this could be like, or even we see some comments that we're saying, we're like, oh snap.
For us, it's not even definitively like, yes, this is sin or this is not sin, but it's like, what type of message are you trying to send?
Questionable.
And plus, here's the thing: if you ever have to question something, that should already be one of the biggest red flags, because you're sitting there like, wow, like I don't know for sure if this is good or not. If I don't know for sure if it's good or not, it's better that I stay away from it, because if it ain't good, then it's probably bad. It's just
because that question saying, "Oh, is this good or bad?" leads to, okay, let me try this one. Is this good or bad? This one's even more viral potential. Let me see. Okay, if I post this, is it good or bad? It probably is. This one was all right, so this one's probably gonna be all right. Then the next one, then the next one, then the next one, and turns out all of these ones were sins.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going in there, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't know. Why didn't you know? Did the messages not come to you? Did the signs not come to you? Did people not comment on your videos saying, hey, you should take this down, or you should do this? I advise you to do this. Did people not come to you and do that? People out here giving you signs every single day, signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you don't take it like that. You think, oh, they're haram police. They're just trying to push me away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'll tell you right now, there are people who are very harsh in their tone, and they're at an extreme that other people aren't at. But then there's other people who are actually trying to give you advice. They actually care for you as a Muslim. They care for your connection to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than you care for it yourself. But you don't want to sit here and be like, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I should go look into this myself and see if this is true. No, you're like, nah, they're haram police. They're just hating on me. I'm just going to keep posting what I'm posting. And then you think that you're in a better place than you actually are. As a Muslim, you should be in the most humble spot ever. You should be like, I'm far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though I prayed all my 5 prayers. I'm going to keep trying to get better. Because once you stay like stagnant, you stay in the same spot and you're like, I'm good. I did enough good deeds for the day.
Yeah, when you
I don't
get
need to do better.
Yeah, comfortability will kill you.
Exactly. I'm sorry, I got a little heated, bro.
No, but what you said is absolutely a complete fact. The fact that people, they sit there, they lie to themselves over and over and over and over again, so that they can sit there and be comfortable and continue, what they're doing is, it's just a lousy excuse.
And I want anybody who's watching or listening to this, I want you to know, maybe you guys aren't on social media, but maybe you've thought about it. These are thoughts I have for myself all the time. Because if I'm posting on social media, I have to be sure that what I'm doing is not something that is going to get me punished, bro.
And even, bro, look, I remember one time, usually I'm not even, I'm gonna set this straight for you guys. I'm usually never the person that posts any of the videos like on our Instagram or TikTok, but there has been a few videos I have posted myself. But anyways, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, the video is good, the content is good, everything is amazing. Mm-hmm. Make sure my intention is right before I post this, because if my intention is not right, then it's all in vain.
That's true. Like some videos, me personally, since I've done social media for so long now, I can see a video go viral before it goes viral. Because I'm like, people are gonna see this, and they're like, the hook is gonna catch them, and they're gonna stay for it, watch the video, they're gonna like it, they're gonna share it, blah blah blah. But before I even do that, I know, okay, it's gonna get the attention that it's supposed to get. Sometimes it won't, but I'm also like, okay, but it's sending the right message. If it sends the right message, I don't care whether it goes viral or not. Like, for instance, a video talking about Palestine. I know that's going to do well because people, like, they need to hear about this. They need to hear this stuff. They're going to share it so that people hear what's going on in the world right now, right? I know that video is going to do fairly well. Alhamdulillah, because we could spread a message that people can hear, and they can hear it from us. Alhamdulillah for that, right? But before I post that, I'm not sitting here knowing, oh, it's gonna go viral. We're gonna get hella followers. No, I don't care about none of that. I just know that if this video gets the right attention, people are gonna hear it. They're gonna hear a message. Someone who doesn't even know what's going on may hear it from us, and now they know what's going on, and now they know which side of history they should be on. Or maybe they hear this video, they see the resilience of Muslims, and then they go look into Islam. That's where life should be like. I mean, some of these videos are da'wah in themselves to Muslims and to non-Muslims alike. And that's a goal of ours, you know, alhamdulillah for that. But inshallah, it's gonna end this podcast. I'm gonna need, you know, something from this guy. I don't know what's going on with him.
What?
Like, you got all silent on us, bro.
I'm letting you talk. You want me to interrupt you?
Nah, I mean, like, you know what I'm saying?
Just keeping it respectful.
You what the hell?
Nah, he was like drifting off. Y'all gonna see it, bro. I'm gonna put it on the camera. Bro, dozing off. But let us know if you guys enjoy this podcast, inshallah.
Yeah, make sure you guys leave a like, share this with your friends and family. You never know whose life you can change by sharing this video. Make sure you join our Guided Success community. If you want to improve your Quran recitation, your memorization, your tajweed, anything like that, make sure you join the community for less than $2 a day. You know, you guys can do all the things up above. And we're still students of knowledge. We're not scholars. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.